How many times have you said to yourself, I'm going to succeed, and yet you keep coming up short? You probably noticed that high achievers with heart do things differently, but you just can't put your finger on it. You're curious about why high achievers accomplish more and have more satisfying relationships. It's because success is the result of your mindset and the consistent actions you take. This show is designed with your success in mind. By revealing these powerful patterns of our dynamic individuals and guest experts, you can model what they do and apply to your future success now. Let's roll up our sleeves and get started. My name is Brigitta Hoeferle, and this is the Success Patterns Show.
Welcome, everyone, to another great show where we bring golden nuggets, because success patterns are way more valuable than ideas. Why? Well, let me explain. Ideas, while they're very powerful, require a lot of trial and error and time to put into action. Just think about manufacturing. First, you have this idea, then a proof of concept, then you go into a working prototype, then small production batches, and then finally, maybe full-scale production. This can take months, maybe even years. And you may have met some folks that are great collectors of ideas, but they do little else. Forget everything you know or heard about ideas, because you're not looking for ideas. You're looking for success patterns. Well, you're at the right place. Success patterns are different. Success patterns are better. Why? Well, they are proven, have a logical sequence of steps to follow, have an action imperative, and deliver consistent results. In today's content-rich program, you're going to learn valuable success patterns as we have a cyclist with us today, but a different one, a very powerful one. She helps other people see their own cycles. We're going to explore that a little bit more. She's passionate. She's a spirited holistic health coach who's dedicated and committed to helping one heal their life. It is time to pause, reflect, reignite your inner light, their inner light. Because when you step fully into your soul's purpose, your light expands and you live your full potential. She's the founder of Tummies, Minds, Spirits, .com, a 501c3 charitable organization. She's a children's author, creator of BugHub.tv. She believes it is a little shift from me to we. She's teaching children, but not just children, to unpack their superpowers and work together to heal the world. And that is with the philosophy, all starts with me. One light, two lights, to a community of light, to a world of light. Her name is Rochelle Forrest Hankins, and she is with us here today on the Success Pattern Show. Thank you for being here, Rochelle.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, you have gone through some challenges. I think everyone does in their own unique way. You face your own challenges, and yet you are able to work through those challenges, going from pain to power. How does one go from pain to power? What's the pattern behind that?
First of all, you have to recognize that you're in a pain cycle, because so many times we get so caught up in routine. And whether it's abusive relationships, bad jobs, bad family situations, illness, loss, we could just stay in that story. And what it does is when we keep repeating that story, it just becomes who we are. And that's not where we're meant to be. Through all those experiences, we really need to go from recognizing, even taking a step back to see your own cycles and see where you're putting patterns in your brain. And once you realize it, you can step into the power, because that's where your gifts really get to shine. Is that we all have a story that we tell ourselves. And it's very fascinating is how we go from our friends and the people we hang around with. And if you keep telling the pain cycle, it's like you attract more and more and more, and it just becomes more you. That's not who you are. We're very powerful beings of light, and we are meant to shine, and that's what we attract. And the world right now needs us to heal ourselves because we have so many things that are broken, starting with me. So how do I start seeing my patterns? And when I can go back to, I thought it started when I was 21, when I was in a very bad relationship, and then I thought it was a second abuser, but then I see it started when I was 4. So really, we take time ourselves to start looking at our own patterns, and they just show up with different faces. So as soon as we can recognize that, even today, it's like I can hear, I'm Rochelle, but as a little girl, I was Shelly. And I remember so many times where she thought she could fix people. That just stayed all the way till I'm 61. And I just look now that whatever is happening on my external world, I can control it on my internal world. That brings me back to my power. And that's where we start to really grow and find out who we are. And that's how we begin to change and shift, because what we do is the cycle will continue, because it's earth, it's duality, it's light, it's dark. It's not outside, it's inside. So if I keep seeing all the darkness and focusing my attention on that, that's what will expand. I'm choosing, no matter what cycle I'm in. I will say in seasons, I just call it my season. Is this a season of developing a deeper superpower? Because inside, there's so many gifts that we never unpack. And that's what I do with kids, is I really want to make sure that the kids don't think their past has to equal their future. And I share my real stories, right?
Yeah, I love that you bring in the children, because if we do want to make a difference in the world, it starts, who said it? I believe the children are our future.
Oh,
Was it Whitney Houston?
Yes. And
It
that's
was
what's
Whitney.
true, right? But how do we teach that if we can't look within ourselves?
Exactly. So that was the point that I wanted to make, and thank you for making it. The future continues with our children, but it starts not with them, right here. So the cycle that the supportive cycle that you mentioned earlier is from going from pain to power, but then it continues. It doesn't end with power. Where does
Absolutely
it continue?
not. We go, as soon as we go from pain to power, we get our strength back. And bottom line is, in the pain cycle, we lose our vitality. We diminish our light is what we do. But then when we go into our power, then we're able to step back and pause and see, why am I created? Why am I here? I don't believe anyone's here just because. I believe that we all have a higher purpose. I believe that it's meant to be wholeness. And in that holiness is where we get to our holiness. But I have to tap into my own purpose. And sometimes I've worked with many people that think, well, I don't know my purpose. Well, then start what makes you feel good. Start where it makes you happy. What brings you joy? And people say all the time, like, why should I support your foundation? I'm not saying you should. You have to figure out what it is you're called to do. I'm called to help all people. And people will talk about, like, what age group do you work with? Honestly, my youngest little guy has been 4, who is brilliant, and we underestimate our children. And 85 was my oldest because she had time. And what I highly recommend for all the people that are listening is, the time is now, because you are necessary. You're here in this earth plane right now for a high purpose. So once you find your power, then it can allow you to start creating some clarity. And the clarity is where we start seeing, where's my tribe? Who's showing up? And if it's not the people that you desire, you're probably back in your pain cycle, because the people of pain will always come back to you. And the other thing I have been finding through my walk is everybody wants to challenge your why. My why may be different than your why. It's not one why. And your path may not be my path. That's great. Whatever brings you joy, because once you tap into that joy and living in your purpose, it just expands. It's like expanding your territory. And as we grow, and praise God for aging with wisdom, so I'm a lot faster, because I fall a lot, but I bounce. And I just bounce. And it's like, and the reason why I'm bouncing faster is I'm doing a lot more things that I have no idea what I'm doing. But it's creating clarity. It brings people like you into my life. So there's so much more when you step out and honoring just like what you've done. You know, this may not be my platform, but then you give me a chance to share to people to say, we don't need to be like everyone else because we're brilliant light within our own being.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I want to come back to the children, and you said something, you said a lot of wise things. Well, first of all, the time is always now.
Oh.
No matter how young or old you are, the time is always now. It starts with me, and yet you created this charitable foundation, this 501c3, Tummy's, what was it called?
Minds
Tummy's
and
Minds and
Spirits.
Spirits. Tummy's Minds and Spirits. Why?
Well, I was raising money for a foundation that was supporting something in South Africa, and I ended up going down, and I was going to spend my money to try to help tell the story, because I kept thinking if people understood we're one world. So it doesn't matter whether it's children here or children in South Africa or wherever they are. And when I went down there, I saw the poverty. Just, it was resource poor people, but the spirit was so alive. And the person I had hired to tell the story asked me if I would help support the children. And of course, right away, I'm like, well, let me think. I've never run a foundation. But when I came back home, I realized the area 20 minutes from me was having shootings daily. I mean, it doesn't even make the news anymore. So not only can I help people in South Africa, I can help people in my own backyard. And through the books, I've been able to share with lots of orphanages, because the books are about helping kids to start to realize their own superpowers, their own light, and how do they fit in the world. Because so many times I think we diminish children, and now with all the different iPads and iPhones, we're missing out on here. And so my job is to help you to get out and play outside and start identifying your gifts. Because if you sit in a chair, all of us, we can sit and read about someone else's life. And kids are the same thing. They're not reading though, they're playing games. Well, unfortunately, the kids that I work with are playing violent games. So what is that doing to the programming of their brain? It breaks my heart. And honestly, it's babysitters, right? And so we've got, as adults, we need to get off the couch. We need to get out there. And we have a responsibility to our world to show up. First of all, obesity in Indiana, I'm in Indiana, we're 7th worst in the United States. Well, it's not because we're out playing with kids. So, I mean, there's so many things that we don't understand as a culture. If we get back to some of the childlike behavior, first of all, I'm just amazed at when I'm playing what greatness comes through. It almost allows yourself to meditate in a different way. And we don't have to go to find Jesus or find God. We need to really be present and really ask better questions, because we just accept. We just accept. And what I've learned, and I'm telling you what, through my life, my pattern has been, in work, I'm phenomenal. I'm a great worker. I love to work. I love to serve. But in my personal relationships, I lose my voice. And then you have to think, kids are taught to be quiet, and they're shushed and they're beat sometimes because they have a voice, right? And we wonder where that anger comes from. But right now I'm in a healthcare system, and they want you just to follow the rules. I want to know why and what's the outcomes. We all need to understand we have a temple, but we're responsible for that temple, because it's the inner kingdom that we're going to connect to 1, 2, 3, that we're going to actually be able to heal ourselves. And I believe 100% as I heal myself, you too can be healed, because it's the vibration. So as we are healing and the vibration's going up, we're attracting, and all these people that are vibrating down here are going to come up. But if every time I hit pain and I go back down here, I'm actually hurting my community, my family, my world. And I have a responsibility now. I consider it, I want it to be I don't want to be a thermometer and go up and down. I want to be a thermostat and set myself and hold myself. Now, I admit, sometimes I have to zip it, because I have to feel what I'm feeling. Because if you start getting too emotional, it takes me right back to my pain cycle. And then the wonderful thing is, as soon as you can identify it as that, and we have physical pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, there's so many different types of pain, but the power is all the same, because then you tap back into your roots of why we're here. And as soon as you know that, it automatically, tummies, minds, and spirits. I have got to feed the tummies, because my kids after school were starving. Starving. They're kids, they're growing, and they didn't have food at home. So I learned, and it's not a cookie and it's not ice cream. You have to give them some protein.
Thank you.
And some of them never even had, they didn't know what veggies were. And they were like, what is this? Or what's this fruit? And so part of the experiences, and I love experiences, is introducing them to different fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
Fill their tummy. But as soon as I can fill your tummy, then I have the right even to speak into their mind. And that right now, their little tracks, the grooves in our brain get so deep based on the repetitive habits. And we as adults don't even know we have that groove. So even when we think, oh, I'm going to go to school, or I'm going to take a podcast, or I'm going to do this, we start maybe getting a baby trail right next to the deep root. But unfortunately, every time I hit a pain cycle, I fly right back to the other root. So the kids, we're talking a lot about responsibility, because in our country, in my opinion, is that we want to blame, shame, and justify everyone. It doesn't matter what you believe or what side of politics or whatever. Let's be individual responsibility and impact that bit.
You mean taking ownership?
Ownership. And that's why I say, I raise my kids, we say we're living above the line in responsibility. We're not going to go below the line. That's why I raise the kids in my community, is say we can't blame, shame, and justify. Because it's like we have to figure out, where do I stand? First of all, where do people stand? It's where the wind's blowing. No, you have your core values. What are your core values? And that's what we're talking to kids even about, what are the fruits of the spirit? I mean, we believe in love. All of our community is about love. It's not necessarily about a religious belief. It's about love. And I think that just like if we're raised here, there's a lot more Christians or whatever, and we go to Malaysia, there's more Muslims, there's just wherever you are in the world. But we are the world. And they are our future. And so when I have a workbook for adults, it's called Reignite Your Inner Light. It's a workbook and a book. And when I wrote it, many people that did the program said, why don't you do one for kids? So I have a workbook for kids now. And it helps them to, the very last thing after they identify all their gifts, is the very last thing is a community project. Because it's in the community. It's the me to the we that's going to shift. In our world right now, we may not live enough to be that, but we certainly can cause the ripple. And I want to be a ripple.
That is our responsibility.
100%, no matter what season we're in. Because we can take the season, and I'm going to sit the season out. It may be your last out. So don't take a chance to think that you have a year to take off. I don't care what's going on in your life. It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
It is so important what you're saying. And Rochelle, we all go through those ups and downs.
It's life. It's life.
It is life. It's I think the secret here is to not get stuck in the low, but also not to get stuck in the high.
And a big point to that is, the low is going to happen, but how long are you going to sit there? How long are you going to sit there? And sometimes you have to take your time out and go to bed. We get tired because you and I want to do it all. We're super women. And by the way, 20 years ago, it was a lot easier than it is today. I get tired. So it's like, again, trying to figure out, what am I putting in my body? What am I thinking? Who am I hanging out with? What are my life goals? Because you know what? I'm going to be dying trying is what I'm going to be. No matter what day it is, my last breath, I will be doing the work that I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And I want kids to figure out that. And in my resource poor communities, they haven't been, I've tried to tell especially my boys, you don't have to be a basketball player or a football player, just cuz. It's like there's more opportunity out there, and you have to discover. No one can put it upon you. It's an inner light that you're going to discover and figure out where that power is to purpose. But then all of us, as soon as you get into that purpose, I really think we have responsibility, and you're doing it, and I'm working on doing it, is you have to share with people, because we don't know what our time is. But what I can tell you for sure, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not even, I do things messy. I do it anyway, and I have to laugh at myself. But guess what? In that moment, that's the best I have. And the next time, I mean, I laugh at the things when people, I'm a nurse, and I'm really, really good at being a nurse. I'm really, really, really good at helping to reflect who you are. But when, don't you do sound bites? Do you do sound bites? I'm like, I'm not sure if I do sound bites. It's like, but I'm learning, right?
Right. Absolutely. When you get stuck, or when a person that you work with gets stuck in the lowest of low, you said it earlier. The key here, the secret is to not get stuck in the lowest of low.
To stay.
So what should they do to get out of that?
Immediately get out of yourself. Go do something for someone else. Because as soon as you start doing something for someone else, it will shift you. And then you'll go back into gratitude. Because it's like, why me? It's all these bad things happen. And we get to be whiny butts. And it's like, really? No, you're very blessed. Do you have bed tonight? Are you eating? Are you hungry? I mean, I have to watch what I eat, not to gain fluffy. And so it's like, that's the best thing we can do for anyone, is go help someone else. And don't tell your story, because then they're going to tell their story. It's like, if you can say, because especially, I mean, having the blessing and the message of cancer has changed my life for the good. Because the truth is, it stopped me in my tracks, and it wanted me to be very clear. Because if I only get 1 day, 5 days, or 40 years, I want to make sure I'm on purpose. And no is a holy word. It is a complete sentence, period. You don't have to explain why no. You don't have to do anything. And once you realize that your days are numbered on this earth, and we all are numbered. It doesn't matter whether you have cancer or not.
We don't know.
We don't know. So what you want to make sure is we're hanging out with people that we want to hang out with. And by choice, if we're going to go serve, we're choosing to serve, but we want to make sure. I want to always tell all of our friends that are listening is, we don't serve from our cup. We have a cup and we have a saucer. We always serve from the saucer. It has to be running over, because otherwise you get depleted. And we women specifically, we get so depleted, we don't know it until we're sick. And that's like, that is not a good time to figure out that I did not recharge myself. And we all recharge differently. So know what it is self-care looks like. And self-care is a big buzzword right now. We have to take care. I can't go, fluff up every day or every minute. That's not I'm happiest in service. But then I have to realize, especially when we're healing our body or our mind, the mind work is the hardest work in the world, because that's going to the roots, right? And I have to take responsibility. It wasn't my mom. It wasn't my dad. It's not my bad husband, my two bad husbands, whatever. But it's me, because I made those choices. And as soon as you realize you take the choice, you made the choice, now you have power, because now I can do something about it. They didn't do it to me, and I allowed it. And I always thought I'd work with abused women. But the truth is, we have a voice if we'll use it. Kids don't. So kids have to figure out, how do we keep them safe? How do we give them new tools? Because you know why? 15-year-old moms didn't have tools to give to my kids. They didn't have them. They were kids. They're kids now, and they're 30. Right. And it's like, why do you think the cycle is continuing? I want to break the cycle and open the possibilities. And I believe in limitless possibilities when we're together. It's never about me. It's always about we. Always.
Oh my gosh.
Always.
I love this conversation so much. And I want to go back and literally count how often you use the word choice, because here's a pattern that I have been seeing in all of my guest experts. And they use this word very deliberately and intentional, that we always, in everything that we have and do, we have a choice. And that is, if there's any secret to any success, however you define success, it is choice.
Yes. And I also believe, for all of our people that are listening, whatever the season was, you stayed as long as you were supposed to. We don't shame ourselves. Some of the things we did to prove our love or expand our love or be all that we can be, that's what we thought was the truth. But as we get wiser and create that wisdom that comes in with experience, there's nothing better than life experience, period. And I really encourage everyone not to be like someone else. Figure out who you are, because it's so easy to be me. Like with you and I, you're allowing me to come in to talk about what my favorite things are. I don't have to read a book. I don't have to write notes. I don't have to have things to, what am I going to say? It's who I am.
Right. It's the essence of you.
Who I am. So I encourage everyone to realize, and that I love that life is a cycle, because it keeps us on our toes. We get wiser and we get stronger. And now, even in the healthcare system, I'm a nurse. I would have thought that I'm a bossy nurse. I would have thought that I would have had a voice. But when someone creates fear, and when they say you are going to die, that's not words at 61 you expect to hear. So then you say, whoo, you know what? I'm going to go back and take yourself out of that negativity, whatever that negativity is. And sometimes you might have to change work. You may have to change friends. You may have to change a husband. I mean, you got to figure out what it is that you feel is really keeping you from your greatness, because that to me is a sin. If you do not come out full bright in this life now, no matter what that looks like, we're not living our full life. And we don't know what is next. What I do know is every time I walk a little step, he shows me a big step. And how cool is that? And occasionally
That's very cool.
you think, and I love, because everyone thinks it's so easy, right? It's easy every day. Working on it is what it is.
It's simple when we know how to do it, and when we make a decision, a very purposeful decision, an intentional decision, that's how we're going to do it. Now, you know, I could talk to you for hours on this topic. It's such an important topic. And there's a very specific reason why we came together today, you and I. I know that you have a very important meeting later on today. So not just me, but everyone that is out there is sending you light and love and prayers, that whatever is going to heal is going to heal, and whatever needs to happen will happen. And you're going to be around, because you're going to give folks your information. How do people donate to Tummy's Minds and Spirits?
It's tummysmindsspirits.com, and you can go out there, and there's PayPal. And so what's great is all that you're doing is it goes 100% to, we don't have any paid staff. I don't want to, and I don't know how big I'll be, but what I do is we have a big impact. So we actually use every dollar towards helping kids break their cycles, whether it's in another world. And again, we do send books to other orphanages and things. I got a little note from a girl from India that said it was the first thing she'd ever owned, and she slept with my book. And I was like, ooh. But that's what we're here for, right? And it's like each dollar can make a difference. And right now we're in a season that I'm really working with the young boys. And I just finished a flag football team, which leadership and sportsmanship, because I said life is a team sport. And so that's what we were teaching. And so in that
team sport, yes, I love it.
And so that's what we're teaching. We had 25 kids, but the coolest thing was we got little like dry tech shirts, and where BYB was the logo. We all came up together. It was Be Your Best. And so that was our logo. But on the back, we put their names on each of the shirts. They wore them all the time. They'd never had anything with their name on it.
With their name on it.
And that's what, and it was like the ownership. And as soon as we gave those little shirts, they were little men. They were no longer little kids saying, you know, and doing all this stuff. And I was like, it was such a shock to me. In every season, it's just like the other thing I learned a few years ago is I always was going out and doing these big Christmas things and bringing the wrapping paper. The parents want to shop for their kids. So I get gift cards so they can go, and I supply, you know, the paper things and the bows and that kind of stuff. But we want to empower people to have baby steps to their independence.
Yes.
And so the foundation is my heart and my soul. And I do believe that Tummy's Minds and Spirits, for all of us, we have to feed each other. And some days I need to allow you to feed me. And that's a tough one, people. And so we have to be humble because we are just human. I hate that part of this life, but we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, but that physical is very important.
Tummy'sMindSpirits.com, guys.
And then there's PayPal on there, and that you can just donate, and you'll be added to a list if you choose to kind of know what we're doing. And we have done lots of things. One of the things is part of my dis-ease, I believe, and this is just a note for everyone. I overdid it. Is I was over there 5 and 6 days a week in the apartment that I serve, because it never's finished. Right. So I thought if I give more, but then
look, when we leave, Rochelle, when we leave this planet, we're not going to leave with a finished checklist. Okay.
No, but no, you're thinking, I can save the day. And it's like, not so much.
Guys, but we are so grateful that Rochelle is here with us. Rochelle can be found at RochelleForrest11@gmail.com. RochelleForrest11@gmail.com. Make sure that you get with her, and also follow her on Facebook, facebook.com/RochelleForrest. Make sure that you find her on Facebook. Follow her on all social media. Go and donate to Tummy'sMindSpirits.com. Rochelle, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your light. And we send you all of the healing light and prayers for you. And we'll want to have you back on this show. So thank you for being here.
I look forward to tell you about my miracle, okay?
Yes. We will talk about your miracle next time you come to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. See you again next week, same time, same place, for the Success Pattern Show. Until then, ciao.
Thank you for tuning in, and you will notice opportunities to apply success patterns daily while eagerly anticipating next week's content-rich success patterns.